Well, I do love my arena shooters. It's a lot of fun to dive in, play a match for 5 minutes, and get out. But I kinda want something more. I know battle royales are a thing, but they're riddled with so many issues they seem to take months to fix. Why can't you work? And it can take 15 or 20 minutes to win the match, if you get that far to begin with. You know, I kinda want something different. Not that I'm burned out, but it would be a nice change of pace to have something that isn't trying to be competitive, but still have a lot of fun. You know, something that has a PvE element to it. Something with a large environment with trials and missions scattered about. Something that has a number of unique weapons and gear that can really personalize your look. Ah, Borderlands. You're the crown jewel of looter shooters. Shame your CEO is the living embodiment of human trash. Nevertheless, these games have a ton of personality and replayability. It never seems to get old to drop back into Borderlands 2. Although these games may not be perfect, they are the best example of a looter shooter you could possibly find. Hey, Titanfall 2. You have one of the best single-player campaigns you could expect for a first-person shooter. Shame Respawn's online servers can be easily compromised across every game, including Apex Legends. But what if? Oh yes, this is what I'm looking for. A Titanfall looter shooter. Do I even need to go into any details? Well, this video is still under 5 minutes, so I guess the answer to that is yes. Titanfall 2 has a lot of personality, and it would be great to experience a lot more of that. If your only experience with these characters are in Apex Legends, I highly recommend visiting Titanfall 2. There is a lot of chemistry there that should not be ignored. Expanding that to a large looter shooter world, this would be in my opinion one of the best games out there. So what would separate Titanfall apart from, say, Destiny 2? Well, outside of the fact of Titans, there's a lot more personality in the Titanfall characters. I tried playing Destiny 2 a while back, and the game felt empty to me. It took itself too seriously, and the kind of comedy it does have is fine, but it feels like the whole thing is one note. Some of the stories are interesting, but it does feel like it's trying to be a sophisticated type of storytelling. It does have its plays, and it's not bad. I just tend to lose interest with the game relatively quickly. The Titanfall and Borderlands games, on the other hand, are a little more wacky. Borderlands is by far crazier, but Titanfall 2 hits such a great balance between not caring about the world around you, and having some very meaningful and epic moments. Expanding this to a larger looter shooter just feels like the natural progression this series should take. Moving on, let's talk about what I think the cosmetics and weapons could be thrown in. The first obvious one would be changing the helmet shape and the body armor. So imagine a few armor presets, then it being able to have unique add-ons for each preset. So your pilot can have the same armor shape, and you just unlock or loot different pieces. It could be a full set of armor, or it could be individual pieces, each one with its own type and texture and pattern. Add on to this, you'll be leading a small squad of pilots. With this, you could create an emblem and flag and make a team that actually feels like a squad with a very unique look. In Titanfall 2, you would collect pilot helmets throughout the game's campaign, plus there are a lot of armor customizations already for the Titanfall 2 multiplayer. So they've kind of done this before, just that now it'd be expanded. Moving on to the Titans themselves, instead of the Titans having to take a specific shape to dictate what weapon that Titan can use, you can select from any shape. Mix and match and then have the pattern and color design to make your Titan unique and stand out as its own. Now this is where the Borderlands theme kicks in. The weapons. I'm not expecting hundreds of different weapon types and varieties, but I do think you could create some unique ones that would work slightly different and use different ammo types. Much like Borderlands, they have some different ammo types that would deal more damage to specific enemies. This way, at base, there are 4 different varieties of each weapon. Add on to this the idea of making some of them be a 2-shot burst weapon, with a 3-shot burst version available as well. You just have to find them. Mix up damage and critical hit numbers for each one, and you'll have quite a few versions for each weapon to try and grab. And this would only be the beginning. Finding new weapon attachments, even ones affecting the weapon in different ways, both positively and negatively, so there's always some sort of risk whenever you find one, such as a weapon attachment that increases your rate of fire, but also increases your recoil, unless you find a very rare attachment that would almost have no bad values. This would also go for the Titan weapons as well. So imagine a fire sword, or a dual fire sword, maybe even some alternate weapons like an ice or acid theme weapon. I don't care if it's blatantly obvious that these ideas are coming directly from Borderlands, I still want this. There's a lot of ways to customize every little thing, and a lot of meaningful weapon variety that isn't just the weapon itself, but also any attachment you put on. Similar to The Division now that I'm thinking about it. And just like Destiny 2, The Division kind of falls flat within the same one-note style of storytelling. Yeah, it's not a bad game overall, but I don't really get attached to anything when I played it. So what about the multiplayer side of things? Well, the problem a game like Destiny 2 has is that the weapons you get from raids and missions tends to not be balanced against other players. Well, to that I'd say keep the Titanfall multiplayer as its own set of balances. So the ammo types would have no effect on multiplayer. That would only be for the co-op looter shooter side only. Same would go for any additional attachments or unique weapons that would deal more damage or grant you more mobility than usual. In other words, anything that would make your weapon stronger or your character stronger could not be used in multiplayer. Only the attachments that are balanced specifically for multiplayer could be used. Any special gear you get from co-op would only act as a specialized skin for cosmetic use only whenever using it in multiplayer. This way, you can have a whole gambit of items that are overpowered, which can only be used in the co-op looter shooter side of things, while keeping the multiplayer side of things as balanced as possible. And Titanfall is a great game to do this with since they have already done this before. Balancing the game for regular multiplayer first and use that as the basis for the looter shooter portion, then just tack on the exclusive items and gear that can only be obtained and used to its max potential in co-op. I know I'm asking for a lot, as it basically means Respawn will have to make 2 games instead of 1, but tell me this doesn't sound like one of the best ideas ever. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. I've had this on my mind for a while now, and since we're in a very dry season of content right now, I figured I may as well get this out there while I still have the chance. Let me know what you guys think about this. Am I crazy, or does this sound amazing? Let me know and let's talk about it. Until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I will see you guys next time.